Imagine looking up at the sky and seeing a creature so massive, so unbelievable, that it doesn't even seem real. A creature with wings wider than a bus, a neck as long as a car, and a head bigger than your entire body. This wasn't a dragon. This wasn't a myth. It was real. Its name was Quetzalcoatlus, one of the largest flying creatures to ever exist on Earth. And trust me, the more you learn about it, the crazier it gets. But first, let's get one thing straight. This wasn't a dinosaur. It lived during the time of the dinosaurs. But Quetzalcoatlus was actually a pterosaur, a flying reptile. Now, when most people hear flying reptile, they picture something like a giant bat flapping around like a bird. But no, this thing was something entirely different. It stood as tall as a giraffe when walking on the ground. Its wings, stretching more than 10 meters, that's over 33 feet wide. Imagine standing under something that casts a shadow bigger than a small airplane. And here's the first insane question. How does something that huge even fly? It seems impossible, right? How does a giraffe-sized animal launch itself into the air? Well, Quetzalcoatlus had a secret weapon, something no modern bird can do. It used a quad launch. It didn't jump with just its legs like birds. It exploded into the air using all 4 limbs at once, like a living catapult. Its arms were insanely strong, not just for flying, but for this exact reason. A single powerful push, and it was airborne. Once it was in the sky, it barely needed to flap. It simply soared for miles, effortlessly, riding warm air currents, gliding over prehistoric landscapes, scanning for its next meal. And speaking of food, what did Quetzalcoatlus actually eat? For years, scientists debated this. Some thought it was a scavenger, feeding on dead animals like a giant vulture. Others believed it was an active predator. But the most accepted theory today, it hunted on the ground. Picture this, a creature taller than most dinosaurs, slowly walking through open plains, using its long spear-like beak to snatch up anything unfortunate enough to cross its path. Small dinosaurs, baby dinosaurs, lizards, even tiny mammals. If it could fit down that massive beak, it was lunch. And remember, Quetzalcoatlus had no teeth. It didn't chew, it just grabbed and swallowed. But let's not pretend this thing was invincible. Flying came with risks. A creature that big, landing and taking off wasn't always easy. If it broke a wing, it was over. No healing, no second chances. And the skies back then weren't empty. Other flying predators were out there, smaller, faster, more agile. Plus, on the ground, massive carnivorous dinosaurs like Tyrannosaurus ruled certain areas. If Quetzalcoatlus got caught in the wrong place, even something that big could become prey. Now, here's another crazy thing. Scientists still argue about how often it actually flew. Some think it spent most of its time in the air, traveling huge distances, maybe even migrating across continents. Others believe it mostly walked, using flight only when it absolutely had to. And there's another mystery. How heavy was it really? Estimates are all over the place. Some say around 200 to 250 kilograms. That's about 400 to 550 pounds. But others argue it might have been heavier, maybe too heavy to fly at all. But the truth? Nature doesn't design something like this unless it works. Its hollow bones were incredibly strong but super lightweight, like natural carbon fiber. Its massive wings were perfectly designed to catch rising air currents, and its launch system, one of the most efficient ever seen in the animal kingdom. This wasn't a mistake of evolution, it was a masterpiece. But here's the part that really blows my mind. The skies during the time of Quetzalcoatlus were nothing like today. Forget birds, forget airplanes. Back then, the air was filled with giants, some with wingspans of 20 feet, 30 feet, even more. The world was quieter. No humans, no cities, no noise, just the wind, the roar of distant predators, and the shadow of a flying monster passing overhead. And imagine this. You're a small dinosaur. You hear a strange sound. You look up, and a shadow falls over you. Before you can even react, a massive beak pierces down from the sky. You don't stand a chance. This was the reign of Quetzalcoatlus, a living nightmare for anything small enough to fit in its mouth. But as terrifying as it was, it's also one of the greatest wonders nature has ever created. A creature that shattered the limits of what we thought was possible. A giraffe-sized animal that conquered the sky.